welcome back to another Random Sam Epic Mom. Okay, time for car rant. I said I wasn't going to do as many of these, but it seems like people keep hitting me with stuff to do rants about, so. So this car rant is brought to you in part due to my husband. No, I am not mad at my husband. No, I am not going to be complaining about my husband.
Gee, thanks, babe. I love you too.
He sent me a YouTube video, about somebody complaining about grass-fed cows and showing the guy complaining about how the cows were in a structure and they were being fed grass and the grass was being dumped on its head and all that.
Tired of being lied to. This is grass-fed cows.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know y'all was putting them in headlocks.
They're not in headlocks. That's barrier gate. Keeps them from going all the way through and stomping and crabbing all over their feet. It's actually quite good for them.
And dumping the grass on their head.
They don't care. They're savages.
All right. This is where my rant's go. Guys, we need to change a little bit of our education system so we're explaining to kids where food comes from. Now, when I was a kid, the whole organic thing was becoming a big thing. I thought it was hilarious at the time because I grew up where my dad, my stepdad, worked at a co-op. He was a manager there. He sold animal feed, all sorts of things. It was pretty much an Ace hardware store with a feed store. It was all in one. And in our little community at the time, it wasn't as big as it is now. In Colorado, it was a mainstay in our town, and everybody knew my dad. But he also helped run the family feedlot. And if you guys do not know what a feedlot is, it is a place where you house livestock. Especially for ranchers and such during the winter where they don't have enough feed to care for their animals. So we regularly cared for cows. But we also had a family pen set up that we had our own cows. So I grew up knowing how we got our steaks. One of the things that my dad did is, bless his heart, he's in heaven. He had us name our cows. He had us take care of them, feed them, give them their vaccinations, things like that. He was very big on us not giving steroids. We did brand our cows. That is a safety issue. That allows people to know who the cows belong to. It's just one of those things. Some people do the ear tags. Those ear tags are important because they do let you know if that animal has been vaccinated or not, because if you give an animal too many of the same vaccinations, it can actually cause problems. If you don't vaccinate that animal, it could get sick, especially if there is a sickness going around that the animals can spread. So those are important little safety things. Just mind putting it out there. But I grew up knowing that. I saw my first cow that I raised. I saw my dad kill it. I watched it. He wanted me to understand the process of life. My siblings understood the process of life. Cow got taken to the butcher, cut it up. We had a freezer full of meat. Considering a family full family of 7, plus all the extra people who came over to our house constantly, we needed that meat. My family also hunted. My dad did, he hunted elk and deer and all that, and not a lot, but we did that. We had chickens, we had all that. We had a very small amount of what we had. Okay, we weren't big ranchers or big farmers, but we did live in the farm area. So I have a little bit of knowledge. I don't have a lot of knowledge, guys. So if I state something wrong, I do apologize. I have not been on a working feedlot or ranch or anything like that in over 20 years. So I don't know everything. I didn't know everything then. Don't know it now. But my point is this. A lot of kids don't know what the heck they're going. If we taught kids this when they're in like 4th to 7th grade, somewhere in that range, and we explain how food's produced, I think it would be a big thing, because as I was saying, when we had those, we did not do steroids. My dad did not believe it was good for the animal to give those steroid injections, all the extras. And at the time, the organic thing was becoming a big thing. You know, you didn't want to have growth hormones. You didn't want to have any of the pesticides on plants, all that. And my dad didn't believe that it was necessary. He wanted, you know, a more natural thing. He thought it was better for the environment, the water table, because we lived right next to a little drainage kind of creek type bed. And he didn't want to risk on the few plants that we did grow, the feed and such. He didn't want us to risk in our own garden and such, and the water table that we used for the horses that we had. He didn't want to risk contaminating the water. He explained things a lot to me as, you know, think about, is this something you want to put in your own body? We don't want to put that in an animal's body. So that's how I grew up. So seeing all the whole organic being more expensive thing kind of made me laugh, because my family was already doing that, but we just never got it certified. So again, one of those things. My point is this, is that you've got grown adults who are looking at videos like this and like, oh my God, those cows are suffering, their cows. Okay, first off, thank God the guy who was critiquing the first guy's video was acknowledging it was a dairy situation, not. And that's one of the things I want to say that we should be doing is, in cattle situations, there are dairy cows. They have to be cared for in a different way than beef cows are. Because if you are raising a cow specifically raised for beef consumption, it's going to be different than a cow that's raised as a dairy cow. Okay? Different type of things. Chickens. There are some places that keep chickens in enclosed spaces. Then there's free range chickens. But you guys got to remember, there are weather conditions. During winter months, a lot of operations, especially if they're big operations, are going to have indoor facilities to keep the animals healthy. That doesn't mean that if you go in and see a crowded pen, it doesn't mean that those animals are always in that crowded pen. They're going to be regularly moved to different pens, so those pens can be cleaned and cared for, and to keep a sanitary environment for the animals, just like for pigs and such. Again, every animal is going to have different needs, and if an animal is being raised specifically for food production, the FFA is going to check on that to make sure things are up to code. If you have a small operation, it's going to be different. Depending on where you are in the country is going to depend on what the rules are. And that's just with the animals. Now you guys got to take into account our fruits and vegetables, our wheat production, our corn production, the strawberries. Here's something a lot of people don't think about. I can go to the store any time of the year and buy strawberries. But you know what? Strawberries aren't going to grow where I live all year round unless I have a hothouse, unless I have a greenhouse, unless I have a system set up so that I can grow them. And I have the ability, which I suck at growing things. I'm trying, guys. I'm failing. But the point is, people don't see that. That's why a lot of times you will see stickers on fruits and vegetables in the stores that say, okay, from Mexico, or from Texas, or from Georgia. It'll say from a warmer area than where we are, because we're not in a climate that can do that. And during the winter, they do have situations where they can do that. I grew up in Colorado, in a farming area of Colorado, so I grew up with a lot of things like Olathe sweet corn, Palisade peaches, all sorts of stuff like that. And I got to see how great it was when things were in season. But there's not always going to be stuff in season. But most people don't realize that because they're able to get it at the stores year round. And a lot of times that is because people have greenhouses and such, factories, all that. Or they're grown in different areas where they're growing at a different time of the year. So that's just putting that out there. But we don't teach this to people. And I think the best time to be teaching this is when kids are between the ages of 8 years old to 14 years old. Anything older than that, it's kind of, they act as if they know everything. But I honestly think if we took the time to teach little kids, and I mean not just tell them vaguely, but like show them videos of, okay guys, this is how this type of animal is raised. Not just cows in general, but okay, here's dairy cows, here's beef cows, here's a free-range chickens over chickens that are kept in kind of a factory type situation. And you know, egg-laying chickens over chickens that are raised specifically for their meat. Here are grape fields. Okay, are those grapes being grown just for grapes to sell in the stores, or are they being grown to make raisins, or are they being grown for grape juice or wine? Again, our industries use things for more than one thing. We can't just say, look at one video and be like, oh my God, this is so evil. And oh my God, do you guys understand what's going on? Because you don't have a full view of what's going on. During the winter, for a lot of ranchers and farmers and stuff, you do not have fresh grass. If you're in an environment where you have a lot of snow, you're not going to be able to leave your cows outside to get grass on their own. They can't, go on the range and get their own. They could die. We have domesticated these animals, guys. These are not wild animals anymore. We have domesticated them, which means once you domesticate an animal, you have a responsibility to care for that animal. That's just the way it works, guys. Because I live in South Dakota, we have a lot of buffalo. Now, buffalo are a little bit different than cows. Buffalo, any place that you see wild buffalo or buffalo herds that are, taken care of, whether they're in national parks or there's somebody raising them for meat, you almost always see a sign that says, do not touch the buffalo. Don't pet the fuzzy cows. Fluffy cows, don't pet, because they are angry. Lots of rage in those animals. Because animals have instincts. Just because we domesticate them doesn't mean we get rid of all the instincts. It's kind of like if you guys have a dog and that dog has been kicked and kicked and kicked and it's been constantly abused, and you get this dog away from their previous owner, and that owner always wore a certain type of boot, and somebody comes over and is stomping, yelling at you, and the boot smells the same as what their previous owner wore, that dog is going to be terrified that you're going to kick it. Because they're going to associate that. They're going to have issues. And they're going to have instincts to protect themselves and possibly you if they've bonded with you. But at the same time, that dog is no longer a wolf, a wild wolf, like its ancestor was. So everything needs to be perspective, guys. We need to be teaching kids about why these animals are the way they are. Why, when we have industries like the cows and the chickens and pigs and farmlands and such, why they are set up the way they are. Because we have so many people who go off to college or they go into the world and they grow up in situations like they live in the cities, or they just never in a farming situation where they've seen the process and they don't understand it. And so they'll see a video on TV, or they'll decide, okay, I'm vegan, or I'm this, or I'm that. And without knowing all the details, they will get on their high horse and they will say, okay, well, this is evil. This is bad. No, guys, it's not. Now, if you at any time see animal abuse, you see something that is completely wrong, please contact the correct authorities. There are places that you can contact and they will investigate. I mean, we want that because, again, if it is a facility that is set up like where you're going to get your milk from or where you're going to get your steaks from, And it's not a healthy situation. Not only is that bad for the animals, but it risks human lives as well. So again, all for it, guys. If you are worried about something, please check to make sure that everything is above board. Check to make sure they're up to code. But if you don't understand why those codes are in place, please don't act as if you know better than everybody else. Chances are that, especially the smaller, I don't want to say businesses, but the smaller ranchers, the smaller farmers, they're usually part of a big co-op of people together. And those smaller setups, not only do they have to work to meet those standards, but they know what they're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you coming in there and thinking you do know just causes more problems. Okay? I could walk into a Detroit automotive facility and say, I don't like the way those guys are standing and how dirty they are, and that could be an issue. I don't know what is going on that assembly line. I don't understand what all they do and why they do it, so I have no right to talk. I do not work in a secretarial position in some New York high-rise. So I have no right telling a secretary, okay, you shouldn't be allowing your boss to talk to you that way, or you shouldn't be doing it this way, or you should be using this type of program instead of that type of program. Because, again, I don't work in that building. So, again, if you guys ever feel that you see something that it's like, I'm not really sure that's okay, ask questions. I'm all for asking questions. But I think we need to be teaching kids a little bit early, like late elementary, about the process of how this comes about so that they're a little bit more educated, so we don't have so many idiots on the internet saying stupid shit. Okay? You guys want to be a vegan? All the power to you. You want to be a vegetarian? All the power to you. You want to make sure that there are safe facilities for animals? Hey, all the power to you. There are jobs out there that you can be, inspectors. But if you don't know what you're freaking talking to, shut the hell up. Please, shut the hell up. Educate yourself. There are things out there that you can look up. You can read about it. Do not just talk and talk and talk. If you don't know what you're talking about, ask somebody. Don't just assume. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. I'm always open to a critique. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye, guys. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. Please check out our other videos already on YouTube. And give us a like and subscribe. And if you hit that bell for notifications, you'll know when we put something new out. So try to make every day matter by finding the fun. You guys have a great one. Bye.